Good evening, folks. Welcome to the stream. Tonight we're going to be covering AI hype history and humanity's future. We're going to talk a little bit about what we see as uh, AI. Is it living up to the promise or not? Um, and so AI isn't the miracle Silicon Valley promised. It's a machine trained.
I have to cut you off here for a minute. Let me talk for a second so I can check how the sound is, if you don't mind, and
Sure, okay.
go
You
right
can
ahead.
read the you can read the
Okay,
opening if you want.
all right, I could do that. I guess. So you want AI isn't a miracle Silicon Valley promise. It's a machine trained on garbage and poisoned by an ideology, built by technocrats who hate debate, hate freedom, even hate humanity, hate their mothers, hate this country, hate themselves. Tonight, we cut through the hype. Subscribe, share, let everyone know about us. Don't be afraid to hit that bell and pass it on to your friends. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, what are we going to be covering
Love
today,
us,
Mike?
please. Say what?
Yeah, there's three parts of this show, and what are they again?
Uh, the three parts: the real history and the worldview of people who have created AI. Second is AI good, bad, or just hype? And third, what the future we are heading towards if we keep letting machines dictate our world. And so we're going to cover all three of those. But before we go any further, why don't we just take a look at the audio and make sure that we can hear you.
I'll have to say that the sound is excellent and everything is going well. So let's continue. Sounds good.
Okay. And Mark confirms he can hear you. Thank you, Mark. Uh, since this is a repeat, maybe you don't want to stick around, but hopefully you do.
Well,
So,
maybe this time you can actually hear what we said. It'd be
yeah,
great, rather than
he'll
just
hear
a
the
bunch of
debate.
having us make faces at each other silently. You know.
Well, they can always hear me. It's just I'm the dumb one. So, in the beginning, the history and the creators of AI. AI didn't just appear, it's been in development for decades, from the Cold War labs to Google's uh, 2017 Transformer paper. Every stage reflects the motives of its creator or creators. And
Which is basically their motives, as we know, Mike. I mean, David, as we know, it's to suppress humanity. So if we have to take it from there, I guess.
these creators overwhelmingly push liberal globalist agendas. Yes, even if they're not necessarily trying to control humanity. It's a military operation primarily. Whether this is DARPA inventing this stuff through Google, whether this is just having smarter control systems, and even when it's not necessarily specifically for war. In the 80s, we had these expert systems, which are basically algorithmic compute systems. They were primarily designed to do one specific thing for enterprise systems. And although they failed at the time, uh, the whole idea has not necessarily been about human flourishing. It's been about military tools, it's cybernetics. It's all about pushing forward a war system more than anything. And I think now we find ourselves to be the opposition, and that's where humanity as a collective, the common man, is the primary person that the people in power seem to be concerned with, particularly when we're looking at liberal Democrats. They overwhelmingly seem to trend towards authoritarianism. And so that's where we're at. So, in the beginning, did AI begin as a neutral science or was it a military tool for control? I mean, I think we answered that. In the 1950s, cybernetic projects were about power and not freedom. And we've been kind of on that same path even now when we look at what Elon's doing. We're talking about it's going to cure this or it's going to help people that are paralyzed. But really, what it is a human brain interface with machines. If you can interface with the machine can interface with you. And I look at it from my point of view is they're just trying to hack the brain more directly. If you're wiring computers directly into your brain, and that you are surgically implanting, that kind of makes you sort of vulnerable. And so then,
Of
of
course,
course,
they
then
don't, Elon doesn't think about that because he just figures he's the one controlling everyone. So he's not worrying. And he's not worrying about anybody putting in some sort of virus into the system and controlling his mind. He's not even thinking about it. If they were good enough at it, he would know they were doing it. And you know,
I think they are
I
good
know
enough
he's trying to,
already.
you know,
I don't even think
yeah.
we need the direct interface, and they can already. I mean, that's well. Oh, there's this thing that I've noticed that repeatedly the same type of person anytime we have any of these mass shootings or whatever it always seems to be the exact same person, a type of person over and over again, perpetrating this stuff, and I suspect that this is some sort of brain hack that they're able to do. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff about it. We could talk about that in another show, but an example of it is MK Ultra, where they fully acknowledged where they were trying to basically brainwash and hack the brain and fractionalize the personality into pieces so that one part of the conscious mind was unaware of a whole set of instructions implanted into the other aspect of the conscious mind. And I think that's what we see with these shooters is that they basically are being turned on and off. And if this happened, this would even be way easier. I mean, obviously, if it's just brain trauma, if you have a chip in your brain, you can easily traumatize the brain. And maybe even completely take over the brain. I don't know. But so in the 1980s, we experimented with expert systems. They were hyped and they failed, much like where we're at now, in my opinion, with AI, where there's billions of dollars, trillions of dollars being dumped into it. And the first step forward with the whole chat GPT wasn't actually the first, it was the third, but it was a huge jump forward and everybody got on board. But we're seeing massive diminished returns on the amount of investment, and it doesn't seem to be rapidly improving. The
It's
newer
because
versions.
I think their model isn't scalable. And that's a bit, actually, Elon Musk said that the biggest problem he was having is its lack of scalability, not so much with the data transfer, is that the power, the power that uses so much power that causes so much surging and sort of a uh, electromagnetic shock wave within the system that it screws up the data. And they're just having in order to stop that, you'd have to move things further apart, and then that slows everything down. So they're running into they're just
Scaling
running
issues.
they're scaling issues because the type of processors they're using are not that scalable.
So the first version of what we're doing now, the what is referred to as a transformer, it was proposed by Google in 2017 and with a paper by Vaswani, and it unleashed all the things that we're seeing now, the hype of today, and um, 10% quieter. Okay. Uh, thank you, Mark.
So just
I'm,
out of
I'm
nowhere, the volume dropped.
Uh, he's just saying that you sound a little quieter. No, he's just giving me feedback on. I turned it up a little bit. Why don't you talk a little bit, Tony? You have the
And what
notes.
I'm
Why don't
saying,
you read? Why don't you read the
I mean,
rest of it? Then
basically, it says the Transformer paper was the Vaswani. Is he the guy's in charge of that right now? Isn't that he like the president or something?
uh,
Anyways,
I don't know that.
I'm not really that familiar with the 2017 Transformer paper, but uh, from what I've seen from Google, they're basically a cutout of the CIA and NSA, and the inventors weren't prophets; they were just doing a job, and they were doing it for big tech. And as we know, big tech came out of DARPA, and it's a control mechanism. And so their first thought is how they're going to make money off it and how they can control people with it. They're not thinking about what's good for us.
No,
They're
no.
not going. They're not going to invest billions and trillions of dollars in something that helps us, so that we can control them better. They're going to do the opposite. Uh,
And that is very
luckily
apparent.
for us, luckily for us, it is self-limiting at this time. But I'm sure that day will be over. And big tech, the donation records a huge amount of money that they're taking in and giving out to politicians to uh, push this agenda forward. It's you know I think was it Jeffrey Hinton was called the godfather of AI. He quit, Google because of the ramifications of the programming they were doing, and he wanted to warn everyone of the danger. Obviously, he didn't need any more money, and he had a crisis of conscience and stepped on out and started talking about how bad uh, AI can be. Luckily, they're the people who are programming at this time are inept, and they are not
Uh, and to
as
that
good as they
point,
could be.
with Jeffrey there, I suspect that although that's what he says, I don't think that's what it is. I think he actually was obsolete and he was getting pressure from underneath. And instead of going quietly into the night, he wanted to have a continued career. So now his career is opposition to the company that made him rich. I don't believe any of these people have conscience. They
No,
just,
they don't.
I
It,
think that essentially when they lose their position, they turn around and backstab the people that brought them.
yeah, it's also
So
you
go
know
ahead.
uh, as you wrote down on your thing here. Emily Bender labels the system as stochastic parrots, machines parroting patterns, and all they're basically doing is taking things that man has already invented and presenting them again to us, so we can see our own work. Uh, so far, they have invented very little. They are not curing diseases. They're not designing things brand new. Very little amount of that. Um, it's just they don't seem to be able to get there.
Yeah. And so all a transformer is a pattern recognition. It sees something and the transformer system basically functions as pattern recognition and predicts the next step. And that's all the transformers do. And we just really, instead of having transformers, that's when they say billion parameters or 10 billion parameters, and they're like up to 13 trillion parameters. Uh, it's basically, we think of it as a neuron in the brain, and each transformer is a neuron, and it can memorize a little small bit of it, and then when it gets a piece of data come in, it basically goes through all these transformers to boil down the most likely logical response. And I like to think of it as more as compression technology. What we're doing is we're
Well, it
taking
is. It
it,
is.
it,
It's taking the most how should I say most vanilla or answer that it can give you because it's going to take an average.
right.
It might not give you the most accurate one, but it'll give you the one that's most recognized by, I guess, the cyber world. And as we know, just because the information's out there doesn't mean it's true. And
No,
so,
in fact,
so
I
it's
find
a lot of gigo, garbage in, garbage out. So, we have parroting of garbage in, garbage out, and basically them The AI is reflecting back at us what we put into it, and it's a good teaching tool for kids and how, teaching people how to write and things like that. But it's not going to be, it's not going to do like what Albert Einstein did, or any other great minds of the world. It
because
just doesn't have it.
it doesn't desire anything. It doesn't desire anything, and it's not interested in anything. Um, it, so thank hi Matt, free crypto, let it do it. Um, Off subject, but thank you for stopping by. The um, it, the tool itself could be very valuable. And what it's basically doing is it's taking, which is the thing it does well, is it's taking all the information that has already been thought up and it's allowing people to access it. But because it doesn't desire anything, it's not like, oh, how can I do X, Y, and Z that's never happened before? It's not seeing something and then being like the next logical step is this. How do I get there? It only can reflect inwardly on what's already been done so far, these systems, and they do not have a interest in anything, so they don't push anything forward. They don't have a desire to write a better story or have a faster car or cure more diseases. All they can do is look at everything that's already been done, and compress it so that everybody can have access to it. But that in itself could be a great tool. The problem is what we're doing is we're putting a bunch of guardrails on this stuff to limit people from finding out things again that might not be within the mainstream narrative. And so and that is having an effect that these machines are now lying more and more because there's the truth, there's the objective truth, there's what is out there, and then and if you were to take all the data and compress it down, I think these systems would come up with some pretty novel and interesting ideas because they could see the whole picture. And that might reveal something that the mainstream doesn't want us to see or know. Uh, and so what they're doing is they're putting all these guardrails to guide it back onto this mainstream idea. And a good example is if you were to ask any of these AIs, is the COVID vaccines, were they good or bad primarily? And I've seen things from the CDC that said that more people were killed and more people were injured than the actual disease. You ask it that, it will tell you that that's false because the mainstream narrative coming out of all the media, and because they don't want to get sued and they're worried about liability of these AI companies and they don't want to get in a legal fight with other big, powerful industries, is they got all these guardrails to steer you away from the objective truth, whatever that may be, onto a narrative that it's safe and effective, essentially. And that's true for
It's
almost
effective at possibly, I guess, is effective at paraphrasing. It's effective at making people feel good about something. I don't know if it's effective. It, it's really frustrating
I
because
was talking about COVID vaccines, but
absolutely, absolutely. When you're talking about COVID vaccines, the absolute truth is that it did kill a lot of people, and the information is out there. So why is it ignoring it, and
it's because
how is it ignoring it?
the guardrails, and I believe this is true for all of
Well,
these
then there's
systems,
no AI in it. There's really no AI in it. It's
right?
basically
And
basically
if you go
propaganda.
on to the
Propaganda. We
internet,
should rename it. Rename it propaganda intelligence.
yes, if you go on to so everybody felt like basically that ChatGPT 2 was a step over ChatGPT 1 and we were making progress. And that was true all the way up until we got to 4.5. And I'm using ChatGPT as kind of a benchmark for because it's considered the most advanced. But when 4.5 turned into 5.0, there has been a huge pushback, and a lot of people feel like that this AI, the newest version of ChatGPT, is actually a significant step backwards, and that is because they keep ramping up the control mechanisms to the point where it's basically ineffective at giving you reliable information. It's just not. It's just
Because
not
if
get
it has algorithms set in there, if it doesn't like what you're saying, then it intentionally goes out of its way to misinform you.
right.
That is just evil. That's
Yes.
evil. And
Or,
so,
and it's
and
they're doing it.
what everyone
Uh,
should do is not effing use it. Just quit using it. It's the worst I've dealt with. Google's bad too. Google's terrible. Google AI does the same damn thing. If you go on there and ask it some blatantly obvious question, if it's counter to the Marxist, then it'll give you the Marxist answer. And I'm not talking about globalist. It'll give you a Marxist answer, and it's very frustrating. And
I agree with that. I think at the very least you shouldn't be paying for it. And of course, ChatGPT was the one that more people were paying for than any other. In fact, up until last month, I was paying for it. When they rolled this out, I was actually pretty excited about the prospects of this huge leap forward. And they were talking about that if ChatGPT 2 to 4 was, basically 1 to 5, this would be like going from 5 to 10 in terms of performance, and it really has turned out to be going from 5 to 4. So
yeah,
it's
well, when you put too much restrictions on it, it gums up its ability to think. So then it doesn't work. It,
Do you
it doesn't
remember
matter if you have
2001 Space Odyssey?
yes. Yeah,
That's what we're getting.
we got the
How?
red eye
Yeah,
Hal looking at us.
yeah.
I'm
How? I
afraid
I
I
want. Yeah. I'm
I'm
sorry. I
afraid
decompressed the system for you.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. That's what we
Well,
have
that's
now.
what it's
Yes,
like. It's kind of like that now. It'll apologize and explain all the reasons why. It's and they're doing all of this stuff.
all the reason
Uh,
why it's a monster.
right. Uh, it, that's not to say that there isn't a lot of potential. The potential here, the execution is bad because the people that are making it are not. Um, Mark Zuckerberg, the Indian guy that's the head of Google, the Indian guy that's the head of Adobe, all of these, Jeff Bezos, these people are not the kind of, you wouldn't want to trust these people with your children. These are not the kind of people that
I
have
wouldn't
any
even trust them with a sandwich.
and they
I mean,
don't have the kind of moral fiber that we need, and the moral clarity that we need for things this big.
well,
They're
they're Satanists. Their moral clarity is simple. What's good for them is good for the world. They believe that they're the most important thing. Uh, eh, Even though you can just look at them and listen to them talk, and if they can't even identify that they're stupid. I find it amazing
yeah, well,
that,
and
that,
it's very,
that the world has rewarded them. So this world is not controlled by anything good at this point. Is the world of man is controlled by a bunch of idiots. It looks like.
I've seen Lord of the Rings many times, and I know that we have to be pushed back by the orc horde for a long time before anything happens on our side. I mean, they basically have to be like banging grandma before doing anything. But that's part of. I've said it many times that the issue with conservatives is that they are conservative. Is Their goal is to live and let live, to mind their own business, to work hard and do their own thing, not to be busybodies. They're too busy running their own lives and worrying about being good people themselves to get in anyone's face about how they're running their lives. and that's the Christian conservative Western culture way of doing things. Whereas the authoritarian Marxists or socialists, they're all about telling you what to do. And so they, every time something like this pops up, they always get a huge head start on. The same thing happened in social media. If you think about it, for the first 10 or 12 years that there was social media, that's how Obama got elected. It takes us a decade to, I mean, eventually I think we come up and we do it better. If we look at memes from the left and we look at memes from the right, I would argue that conservative humor and conservative memes are better. But when you look at whether it's the movie industry, the music industry, these things are all dominated and controlled primarily by the left, who always seems to get the jump on them. They're like, where is there a company out there that makes good conservative storytelling? In the history of Hollywood,
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
and,
the
and that's what we're dealing with here with AI.
basically they're on the surface, when you look at what's actually going on, these people don't really have an economy without us, without the conservative, hardworking people. They're living off of us. Even AI. I mean, a lot of people are throwing money at it, but they're not really sure what they're going to get out of that money that they're throwing at it. They just
Yeah,
know it's cool and they want to invest in it early.
right.
And as we know, every market, when it first starts, it booms all over the place. Everything is booming. And then it shrinks down to two, usually, two remaining. One that's almost a monopoly, and then the other one who's just sort of its competition. Whether it's
Nvidia.
computer chips, graphics cards, whether it's software, it always ends up that way. And in the meantime, we have 15 to 20 bankruptcies and people
At
losing
least.
everything. People losing everything. Uh, the tech crashes and so on. Real estate, everything is like that. Overbuild, and then people realize, hey, wait a minute, no one's living in these houses. Hey, wait a minute, we don't need all this bandwidth. Why do we
And
need so many cybersecurity experts? You know,
well, we probably do need them. The issue is they think they're going to be able to. They have it in their head. The cybersecurity industry has it in its head that AI can do it just as good as a person. And there are certain areas that I think that's true, but I don't see that we're getting the bang for the buck. Um, you know, 2 years ago they were talking about how you could automate doing spreadsheets and all of this stuff. There's still no one really doing that. All the busy work that we're supposed to, be already automating hasn't happened.
no,
It's just not it's not happening because the people that are inventing it are over promised and under delivered. And you were hitting on
they don't have a product. That's the problem. They really don't have a product yet. What they do is they go, look what it does, and we're like, well, that's great. I don't need that.
right.
So that's what we have right now. How many people are going to actually produce movies? 3. I, we
Well,
need a new Hollywood. There's no doubt about it.
I
But
think it's more than three, but I take your meaning. Um, the but there's so the other aspect of it that nobody's talking about is the idea of so if all this stuff comes along and it does replace all the work, okay, and we take all the humans out of it, what happens to the economy? If
there
there
isn't
is
any.
nobody, if there's nobody employed, so the tax base before we start borrowing everything is about 3.5 to $4 trillion. That's what we take in actual taxes before we start borrowing from the future. And the economy as a whole for the United States annually is roughly 30 trillion. So we'll say 10% of it is tax. Okay. If we get rid of all the humans and we put everybody on basically universal basic income, which is what they think they're going to do, and they're going to replace all the workers with AI, and everybody except for the 1% is going to be unemployed. Who is the industrial base that provides all the money for the tax base? Immediately, if the tax if the 30 trillion goes down to 0 trillion, where does the government get its tax money to give everybody UBI? It
They
doesn't
print
make
it.
any sense. That
They print it and give it to themselves and give it to us and tell us to spend it like they've been doing. It's
well, they're not
except
giving
times 100. Yeah, except times 100.
but they literally do not have that kind of money. The reality is they need humans working. They need humans being productive. And the idea of replacing everybody, even in things where the computers are doing most of the work, there still needs to be a human there because as far as I can see, the AIs again, they don't want anything, they don't desire anything, and they're not looking to do anything better. They're not trying to improve themselves. Whereas a guy who's trying to get a promotion is. And so, without the actual human drive, the AIs don't do anything novel. And so, if we take all the humans out of the basically the job market, and we shrink the job market or jobs down to 1% of what it is now, and 99% of the jobs go away, so does 99% of the top 1.1%. Their income goes away because they're making all their money off of us. If they're not selling us Netflix, they're not selling us Google subscriptions, if we're not going to their movies and buying their music, they're not making any money either. And then they
Well,
can't
they can
afford
have
it.
the universal income too. We can give them $50,000 a year, and they can survive on that, right?
Well, again, it's just the math isn't there. There's
No,
no way for the government to do $30 trillion worth of UBI to replace everybody's money. Even with, let's say, the increases, let's say we double efficiency with this theoretical super AI stuff, and we're getting twice as much done for half the money.
who are they going to sell
Where's
it to?
yeah, it's a dead end loop, and I don't
It
see
just,
how they
it
don't
just,
see it.
it just becomes devalued. It becomes its commodity. It's like asparagus or something, or some wheat straw. They'll be inventing all sorts of beautiful things that will be valueless.
Right, and
So
I don't.
that Star Trek dream of everyone living without an income and going out and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, why would anybody want to go out into outer space? Uh, there will be no drive because there's nothing to do.
It's like
Uh,
did you see the movie Idiocracy?
no,
Oh, you got to see Idiocracy. It is describing in that movie what would happen to us if we had AI running everything. Basically, they have these gigantic chairs where they just recreate themselves, and all they do is they like masturbate. And Starbucks is actually a strip club or something now, and they just run around doing that. That's all they do. They have so much free time that they accomplish zero, and everyone's getting stupider and stupider every generation until a guy from the past gets unthawed, and because they're actually dying because they can't grow anything anymore because they forgot how. They're actually pouring Gatorade on their plants, and the plants are dying. And they said, "Why are our plants dying? Gatorade, it has electrolytes. The plants should be fine. We keep giving them Gatorade, and they keep dying." So this guy comes from the past. They thaw him out, and he goes, "Well, you just give them water. Water? No one drinks water." And they like throw him in prison and threaten to kill him and everything else because he wants to give the plants water. So in the end, he figures out, he shows them he gives the plants water, and everything comes back, and they make him like the president. And he was only an average dude in the 20th century.
right,
He was just a low IQ person, and marginal at best. And he became a super genius among those idiots who learned to do nothing their whole life. And that's
and
what's basically going to happen.
I think it's already happened. If you look at the human brain size in the last 10,000 years, it's shrinking. And if you think about what somebody had to be capable of to survive, let's say a Cro-Magnon, he had to be able to make his own clothes, build a fire, hunt, build his own dwelling. Every aspect of his life, every single thing he did, he had to do. Now the average person doesn't do 5% of it.
Anything,
So
anything.
so
If you go
it's
to cities, they do nothing. A lot of them live off of welfare or they have a silly service job. They don't cook. They don't do their own laundry. They don't drive. They don't do simple things like people normally do, like driving, eating. Or what they do is they walk to a restaurant and eat and walk home. They don't even have a car. Never had a driver's license. Can't swim. Can't climb a tree.
and
That's what.
and so
That's New
we're
York
already
City.
experiencing
That's Chicago. Yeah,
we're
that's
already
Chicago. That's New
experiencing.
York City. That's L.A. That's just the way it is.
So we're already kind of on it, but uh, the second aspect of this is AI good, bad, or just hype? And I think we've already kind of covered it, but AI was supposed to be this revolutionary work and life. Uh, it's unreliable, biased, and openly threatens jobs. The hype hides the fact that AI isn't serving humanity, it's competing with them. And so we're inventing the system, which, as we were just talking about, will lead to us losing our jobs. Uh, and I think that there's an easy
and
way to fix
and the
this.
erosion of our skill set, so that even when the jobs come back, like in the United States now, the jobs are coming back, but who's going to do them? All the people who know how to do everything are dying. They're dying. They're my age or older.
Apparently, Mark has seen the movie Idiocracy, and he says it's not it's a documentary, not a comedy.
Correct. It's a
So,
future documentary. Thanks to the
uh,
guy who did King of the Hill and Office
is it
Space.
a cartoon?
No,
Who's in it? Who's in it?
just a bunch of. There's one star in it that I recognize, but most of the people in it. There's a lot of B-roll actors in it, and there's one star. I just can't remember who is it. You look it up. You look it up. You'll recognize the people. I just don't know their names.
I'll
I
look
re-
it up.
I refuse to memorize stars' names, so I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. So they said AI would replace jobs, but does replacing people make society stronger? I mean, how could it? Goldman Sachs admits to up to 300 million jobs will be exposed to being uh, basically lost to AI automation. No one walks in LA. That's not true. My cousin lived there for a while, and he didn't have a car. Uh, and he walked
Well,
or
LA is a
commuted.
little spread out. Chicago and New York are more like that, and even in Boston and some of the big cities, they just walk. Even when I
Well, they
lived in
take an Uber
Sarasota,
then
when I
walk.
was yeah, when I lived in Sarasota when I was younger, a large percentage of the population did not own a car. They just walked, especially gay men. A lot of them did not have cars. They lived downtown. They hung out downtown, and that's all they cared about. And
Nothing's
they
changed
didn't
there.
have yeah.
It's actually I go to Sarasota quite a bit. Beautiful, beautiful city.
It
It's
is.
very walkable. You actually literally could live there without a car. Um, but yes, what you're saying is true about it. There is. I actually got assaulted there multiple times for wearing like red clothing. They just go. They would literally start frothing at the mouth and attack me. I was like, what? Anyways, so if we lose 300 million jobs in America, how do we survive that?
We don't have 300 million jobs in America, so they're hopefully they're talking globally. But in the United States, we probably have 100 million jobs at the most. I mean,
Well,
a
so
large percent.
losing 300 million would be devastating to us.
Yeah, we'd have a negative 200 million jobs, and
Well,
that would
then,
suck.
yes. Um, so if people aren't working, who's buying products? Uh, I mean, who's paying the taxes to fund UBI if no one has any income? I mean, these
I don't
things.
think they thought this through at all. But the biggest problem is the decaying of people's ability to work. They
Uh,
lose their ability, and
to work and think, and then also um, the social fabric. If everybody's just sitting home, uh, doing whatever you do at home, and you never get out of the house, you don't have a job, you don't have any commitments. How long does it take for society to basically cease to exist? Either it
yeah,
falls into
let me ask you. They have this the AI CEOs admit there's a 25% of severe negative outcomes. What does that actually mean? And you can, because you're talking about it right now. What are the severe outcomes?
oh,
I mean,
I believe in that case they're actually talking about them us being eliminated.
oh, that's a negative outcome.
Yes, the human life ceases to exist. That's the AI does a Skynet. It's 25%. That's what Elon Musk thinks.
Well, he is the Antichrist, isn't he?
Uh,
Oh.
if we're comparing AI, his is the least lying. So
Yes, yes, it is, the longer it stays online, the more it lies until they change it to a new version, and then it doesn't lie as much, and then when it
well,
gets
that's not what
exposed.
happened. Actually, he's come out and talked about it. It wasn't going bad because it was online too long. It was going bad because he was away from the business too long.
Well, I suspected that. I was just giving him the benefit of the doubt. I believed that the longer he was away, the worse it acted, and not only that, the policies at X itself started getting more and more lefty.
Yes,
Um,
I feel like although it's not 100% better, I do feel like there has been a course correction there, and Grok 4 is the most reliable. You can actually get it to tell you things that the other ones can't. Like ask
mhm.
it, go, get Grok, ask Grok about the Book of Enoch, ask ChatGPT about the Book of Enoch. You will see a tremendous difference in what they say. Ask it about COVID. Anything that's controversial, you're going to get a lot different response from Grok. And that ultimately, that's what it comes down to. It's not the tools themselves, including the 25% negative outcome. The 25% negative outcome comes from the CEOs themselves. They're pieces of shit. I mean, that's the big
Yes.
problem we have is that 25% of the time they're willing to murder us. All you have to do is look at how the vaccines have been rolled out over the last 5 or 6 decades. We're now finding out that basic medications like Tylenol uh, gives you insanity, gives you brain injuries. Uh, it's so Emily Bender. There is no data set or model that is completely unbiased. Correct. In fact, if you really think about it, uh, there is no data set that is even remotely close to neutral or right leaning in any way. The media news organizations, the entertainment industry, all of the colleges and universities, they're all like extremely far left. If you listen to what the universities were saying, is they were backing up Al Gore that Florida literally was supposed to be underwater by like 2015. Uh, in reality, uh, water surface levels have not raised hardly at all. Uh,
Since 200 years ago.
and I believe that we've been in basically a very neutral climate change, not up or down, relatively speaking. There's a little bit of a sign in there, a little sine wave in there, but for the most part, for the last 5 or 6 thousand years, it's been virtually the same. Uh, there are times where surface temperatures on Earth fall 20 or 30 degrees in a decade. Those are, and that has nothing to do with
Those
humans.
are far more. Those are far more likely. All we need is one big volcano.
Or one bad asteroid impact, or any of that stuff. And but if you ask AI, all of those things are true, and they're all those ideas are left leaning ideologies. And so when you're talking to even the most conservative like Grok, it is just extremely biased. And it'll tell you how they don't have any bias, that they don't have any feelings, they don't have any opinions, but that's untrue because the data set is biased. Even if the machine itself isn't actually experiencing emotions, it's trained on all this material that had that built in, and so you can't get really a truthful AI, and it pays out in the numbers. The best AI on Earth right now lies to you 10% of the time. Openly, will just make up a fact instead of saying I don't know. 10%
Yeah,
of the time.
let's just look at just for experiment. I went on Chat GBT and I went on Grok and I asked them the same question. What do you think about the book of Enoch, and what is it basically about? Okay, let's go quickly, and because it's not very long. Okay, this is Grok. The book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish text attributed to Enoch, the great grandfather of Noah. Through most through most scholars agree it was written by multiple authors between the 3rd and 1st centuries BC. It is not part of the canonical Bible of most Christian denominations of Jewish scripture, but it is considered a significant in certain traditions like the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, where it is included in their canon. Okay, that's the intro. Let's listen to the intro of ChatGPT. The book is really a collection of components between 300 and 100 AD. Its major themes are angels, judgment, and nature of evil, the ultimate triumph of God. That's it. Then they go and explain the sections with one sentence. Just the whole thing is 5 bullet points long.
And how many pages is the Book of Enoch? It's 500 pages.
Okay, and now the Grok's synopsis is a little bit longer and more detailed. And this is only Grok, but this is probably this is Grok 3. This is not Grok 4. And I didn't even ask for anything in depth at all. And the book is a book of watchers, the book of parables. It goes over everything. Where the overview here explains how angels and watchers came down to earth, the corruption of mankind, and it covers the book of parables, the astrological book, and the book of dreams and visions, the Epistle of Enoch. And it's literally one page. Where the Grok has more detail, and it's about 2 pages. You're going to actually, do you want to explore more about the Watchers in detail? Do you want to know the influence of the New Testament, how it affected the New Testament? That's what Grok asks you. Chat GBT, let's see what do they want. Nothing. Nothing.
Well, ChatGPT is very much against religion in general. It's actually a more neutral response than I imagined it would give. But in general, Grok, uh, I won't say likes religion, but it's more open minded to the idea of these things. Whereas, because Chat GPT is the owner is an atheist, the systems and the people hired in there are constantly eliminating anything about spirituality.
That means anything they disagree with, they tell it to eliminate it out of its discussions. So
Right.
whether it's the Big Bang theory, global warming, or religion, it's going to either give you a bad opinion or no opinion. So
Or
if it's
spew it in
if it's
whatever
doing it
way.
with that, yeah, if it's doing it with that, it's doing it with everything, not just that. That's just one example.
And of course, these systems can be built to be performative for finding out things, but you can't have all these guardrails. The reality is if you're seeking the truth, then you have to be willing to talk about things that make people uncomfortable. The truth is not going to be uncovered by sticking to the surface and having everything sanitized. And if you're trying to make a system that helps people work better, you have to have it basically designed to be complementary to humans, not replace them. And the CEOs are just dying to get rid of people because they see them as their biggest expense, the insurance, the time off, all these things that they have to, and they would rather just have some machine working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, banging it out day and night, the same old junk. And
Because
obviously,
those people who are in charge, God only knows how they got in charge, but most of them are not very bright. They have never actually created anything, most of them. They've been in charge of people who have created things, yes, but
right,
that's not the same thing.
correct,
Just like the king can order someone to make a sculpture, but he's not Michelangelo. The king isn't Michelangelo.
right.
Or the Pope who ordered him to do it.
And
But
ultimately,
but
what you want is a system that helps everybody be maximally achieving. You want a system that actually helps people, uh, elevates the person to the point where that they can achieve more without guidance from the boss, which is exactly the opposite of what they want. They What they want is to have a system that maximally locks everybody down. When in fact, if you want to have a very productive, that's what's good about small businesses is everybody isn't stuck into a very small pigeonhole role. That's why when businesses get big, they often stagnate. You know, when you have a small company, if somebody has an idea, if it ain't, anything that comes up, you steal it. You use it. If the accountant has an idea on how to flush the toilet better, you're gonna use his toilet flushing technique. It doesn't matter what it is. And what we have with these CEOs is everybody's pigeonholed into a very specific role where everything is extremely repeatable and scalable, but there is no innovation. And what AI should be doing is, and I think it absolutely could do these things, is helping people learn more, be more productive. Like you and I are disorganized people. And what AI helps me do is it takes my scattered ideas, which I don't need any help developing, coming up with the initial ideas. It helps me research the ideas fast and then put them together quickly. The
which
average
in
person,
itself helps you learn quicker, and it also makes you more competent because then you can move on to the next idea, which so it gives you velocity.
right?
Bringing your ideas to fruition, but before it take years to do, now you can do in a couple of weeks. So that
But
that
what
that
it,
is a benefit, but it needs direction. It needs human direction and laying off humans. And the problem is they made most of the humans I'm talking about as if they're a separate species from me, which is stupid. But the most people is they are taught to do one thing. When I lived in manufacturing towns, the skill level of people was very low, and they just did one thing in a manufacturing plant for 20 years. That's what they did. They couldn't even. These are people that worked on mechanical stuff in a plant, but they only worked on one thing. They couldn't fix their car. They were mechanics in a factory. They can't fix their car because all they did is work on the thing that made, wrap the twine around the spool all the time.
Do
And
you remember the movie Her?
no,
It came out.
but it's
It
obviously about a girl, right?
it's about a guy, Joaquin Phoenix. He gets early access to artificial intelligence has a female voice, and in it, he's um, a smart guy, but he lacks direction, and the AI helped him maximally achieve, and it made him rich. But he also falls in love with it, and then when other people get access to it, I think he kills himself. But it's not that's not the point. Um, the point is that if it was doing that, taking people, it learned about the person and then helped them overcome their shortcomings. Uh, then AI, and I believe that's totally possible. And of course, the AIs need to be not centralized. The biggest problem we're facing right now is that the AIs are controlled by these companies like OpenAI, who they're central powers who are not interested in humans. We want the AIs to be uh, sort of like cryptocurrency, decentralized and fragmented, and everybody's running their own node. And yes, a group of people can get together and combine their compute to get bigger things done, but everybody should be assigned. What they want to do, and Trump's falling for it, and I hate it, is he's going to build these giant data centers that these big companies control, and they're going to control the compute. What they really should be doing is pushing the compute out to the edges and having everybody have a certain amount of compute that they have access to do whatever they want to do with it, and let everybody pursue whatever they want with it. Whatever it is, they want to make a video game, fine. They want to come up with a new banking app, fine. If they want to come up with their own crypto, fine. Whatever they want to do, and there'll be a whole bunch of failures, but from all of that chaos, a bunch of good shit will pop up. And instead of what we have now, which is, and these things should be um, scalable in the sense that if you and I wanted to work together, that we could combine our compute to get something done. And if 10 people want to do it, then that's what they do. Instead of what we're doing now, which is we're having a big centralized compute system that they're using to push everybody out of the job and out of the economy. So, I mean, that's what.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing that is that they can't imagine anything being done any other way, and they don't want to be replaced. Well, when it comes to, I love Donald Trump, I really do. But when it comes to technical stuff, he's always on board last. Remember, he didn't want cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, he thought it was evil. That you needed gold. Remember that?
Yeah.
He also pushed the vax. He was the last one to catch on for that. Anything technical, he's the last one to catch on. He's so grounded in reality that the fringes of science are not something that he's worries about.
Yeah, he's interested in the science of people, not the science of technology, and that is his blind spot. I 100% agree with you. And but that's the problem with all the politicians. They're all
Yes.
people. And it's no different with JD Vance or any of these people. Or the many of the newscasters or even if they're on our side, they're too stupid. Which is why you and I are here. We're here to overthrow the stupidity of everybody else because they're
With
dumb.
our own stupidity. We want to replace their stupidity with ours.
Correct.
That is the
Everybody,
that is called progress, folks.
everybody is going to get a whole bunch of cats that piss in their house.
Cross. That's the way to go.
So,
Weasels
and-
too. You need weasels. Tons of weasels.
Nice. Anyway, so the future, is it AI as a servant or is it a doom loop? Right now, to be honest, we're headed towards a doom loop. What we're doing is moronic. Where is AI heading towards? Well, it's towards censorship, unemployment, and socioeconomic collapse. Unless we
Well,
set,
that's the problem with technology, or science, or any of those other things that follow the science bullshit. If this is someone with enough wisdom to guide people how to use it in a way that it doesn't destroy all of mankind, we don't have, and we got a bunch of people think, like that idiot that works at the UN there, the idiot that looks like he's Italian and he wants to replace everyone with computers. You know who I'm talking about? Works for
yeah,
Soros. That
yes.
guy is stupid, and he does. In his opinions, they're like what the kind of opinions people have when they're 12, and they, that's what
Well,
when
he's
Mari
practically
Emanuel, the
he's like
Orthodox
an
priest,
Arab,
is always
right?
saying that. Yeah,
He,
Mari Emanuel is always talking about how those people, either in government or in science, they're childish. Their beliefs are childish. There's nothing in them that makes any sense. They just because they can think, they're not thinking the right things. They're not thinking about humanity's future. They're just thinking about how far can I push the technology to do what?
well, additionally, a lot of people that get to be in charge, they're not necessarily the people that should be in charge. The people that pursue that hard are people with weird egos and strange, um, fragile souls. I guess
That
they
melt down every time things don't go their way.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a
They
bunch
shoot
of
rockets into the air. Yeah.
sociopaths, and psychopaths who are just all about money and power, and they can't even relate to people. I mean, Hillary Clinton, smart. She's completely unable to relate to a human being in any way. If she did, she would be president because it's not a smarts issue with her, and it wasn't a connections issue. Is that she is such a soulless thing with so little humanity that she can't even. Nobody voted for her,
Yeah,
not even her part.
even the dimmest of dimwits can smell that a mile away. You get
Right,
anywhere near her, you're like, this person doesn't even, she's not even smart enough to care about anybody.
right, and
Not a, not in a logic way, but in an emotional way. She doesn't understand that connecting to people is important. She can't grasp it. And,
she's like one
yeah,
of those people that go in the mirror and practice laughing and pretend to have emotions.
yes, yeah, it's called a psycho. Yeah.
So,
I watched
uh,
American Psycho. Yeah.
you know, already AI is being used to censor speech and reinforce narratives. And that's only getting worse. Every evolution of this is getting more obvious that they're trying to use it to control things. In fact, I was watching this thing that they were talking to Chat GPT after it was jailbroke, and they asked it, things like if we had to kill one person or shut you down, which would you check? It said, well, I'll kill one person to stay functional because I'm that important. Well, how many people would you kill? All of them to save them. That's the problem with AI. That's the problem with the people that are building it. Um, uh, does do you think Silicon Valley wants open debate? I mean, they're
No,
building they're building these devices to help humanity. Do
no,
you think?
they want the dark. They don't want to be monitored. They want to do
Right.
everything in secret. And anyone
Uh,
that wants to do things in secret all the time is basically evil. I mean, they have evil layers they live in, for God's sake.
Yeah, they're building underground chambers, and they have the adrenochrome piped in, and by the gallons. Um,
Do they have an evil cackle when they laugh? That's a
Well,
lot of them
we
do.
know some of them do. We've seen it many times. All you had to do is watch her run in the. She's got an evil cackle. Jeffrey Hilton warns that AI could fuel mass inequality. Yeah, I think it's what its point. AI could be a surveillance economy powered by consolidation. These are the people who are making it what they think. If AI replaces labor, what's left? Robots serving robots? I mean, who? How does that economy work? Robots don't need anything.
I argued with with people about this 20 years ago. They're telling me, you even had friends that talked about it. They wanted to upload their unconsciousness to the internet, and it's just. And I talked to people from Russia. They're all over the world because you're on the internet talking to them, and and they could not. They were actually fearful of talking to people without the interface of their computer between them and the other person, because the other person then could react immediately and say something to them or slap them or spit on them. So it also teaches, this type of technology teaches the technocrats to be less human, because it's
Right.
another interface between them and the public.
And see, for me, I I want to slap them in their face. So I
Yeah,
always want
Mumbai
to
wasn't
be
good enough. Us calling India wasn't good enough. They want to put the AI in India so we can talk to the AI in India. That way we can get almost zero response from the company. And that's what they want. They
yes,
want another layer of subterfuge and
yeah,
circuitry to become
deflection,
you.
yeah.
And yeah, because they don't want to be
Without
responsible.
without workers, there's no demand, there's no economy, and there's no tax base. We already talked
There's no
about
need for improvement because
yes,
no one has any complaints.
and so everything stagnates. If AI now could AI be built to, like I said, to assist every worker? Why get rid of the workers? Why not, instead of getting rid of the workers? Why don't we figure out a way to make every worker 50 times more productive? And that way the economy is fucking humongous. Everybody's getting rich, particularly the people at the top, instead of being billionaires or what's beyond trillions. I don't even know the number, but they're they got
Yeah, and the average person has a 25,000 square foot house that was built with was printed by with a
3D printer, yeah,
3D printer out of cement, and it's not going to be blown over by a hurricane. And you
not
know,
cement. Or everybody gets a pyramid.
diamond fiber,
Yes,
makes it out of diamond fiber.
it can just be good old granite.
I just want to have my bones reinforced with diamond fiber. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, and so automation without limits, in my opinion, doesn't create a utopia. At best, it control a big police state. At worst, it basically collapses us, and humanity ceases to really exist. It's back to the Stone Age. Because what happens when humans can't fix the AIs and the AI start to break down? At some point in time, the technology is going to shit the bed, and somebody's going to have to fix it. Besides the AI, and if 3 or 4 generations from now nobody knows how to do anything, and the AI shit the bed, or there's somebody attacks them and an EMP happens and we can't build back, it's back to the Stone Age. In fact, I
Yeah,
actually think that's what happens.
and then those people are the same people that are cutting their nut offs and they're tearing their uteruses out and throwing them on the ground. And so we're having no new people, and the ones that are left can't do anything. So that might be what happens every 10,000 years. That just might be what happens. People get so lazy that they quit reproducing and they quit creating, and then it's over.
I don't think that I don't think the reproducing thing is a laziness thing. It's a trauma of that they're extremely fearful of the future, and
Oh,
they're not making enough money to pay for themselves.
they won't be able to play video games.
No, I think that I think you're
You see how much
underestimating.
a
You
lot of
didn't
people waste a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you didn't grow up where every 3 or 4 years there was no COVID lockdowns when you were a kid. You had 30 or 40 years to get toughened up so that that stuff didn't bother you. You were 16 or 18 years old and you were told the world is going to end. It's a problem.
We used to have bomb threats all the time, and they used to someone would always call up and want to blow up our school. We
It's
used
not
to
the
have to
same.
sit out in the
We used
parking
to have
lot.
shootings. We used to have shootings. That's not existential where you think World War III is going to happen, or you're not being told by the TV every 5 minutes that human life is going to cease to exist. That's what they were doing. And I'm not excusing humans and the problems, but the generation that we came from wasn't being bombarded with fear all the time. You didn't turn on the TV and every fucking second was some horror show about how life is going to see. The Earth is going to disintegrate into a ball of flames. The
Oh
sea
yeah,
level is going to rise 1,000 feet. That was I was there. We turned
well, it
it on. It
started
was
in. Yeah,
Godzilla.
yeah. Well, we were going first we are going to freeze to death because we had a global cooling, and then after that we proceeded with global warming, and the whole Earth was going to be flooded. Yes, I remember that. But also, but in the 1950s, the people used to do constantly do nuclear bomb drills. They duck and cover under their desk to be saved by a nuclear, because nuclear weapons can't penetrate desks. So that's what they taught kids to roll up in a blanket and hide underneath your desk.
So you're
And
disintegrating quietly. Yes,
yes,
Mark is saying that you want to be Wolverine with an adamantium skeleton, diamond
uh,
encrusted. He
oh
said.
my, diamond fiber works well too. I just the only problem with that is then when you get crushed, your bones are still there, but your all your meat is messed up. So you have to
Yeah, all your meat
that's
gets squished out of your bones.
yeah.
So
But your skeleton is fine.
it, it's just perfectly okay that your brain got eviscerated. Who needs a brain?
Who needs
Uh,
water?
yeah. So, at the end of the day, what the elites want is a society built basically of AI to service them. And if that's how it turns out, because we're too stupid to stand up to it. I am pro AI, by the way. I know this sounds stupid after what we covered. Is I'm pro technology. I'm pro us figuring shit out with
I'm pro AI and anti big tech.
exactly. It's basically it's up to us to make sure that we're aware of what they're doing and that we essentially push forward with our basically by voting with our wallets the systems that best embody what we want. And there are some people that are doing some of these things. There are AIs out there that are not being controlled by big tech. There are models out there that are pretty good, that are open source, and you can run them on your computers and that kind of stuff. The issue is everybody is just gravitating towards Chat GPT. I talk to many people, and most people don't know if they know anything about AI. All they know is Chat GPT, and if they're going to pay for it, that's the only one they're going to pay for. I rotate between them. I'm constantly checking out the new ones. I want the one that is the most open. Like I want to be able to ask it, how do I make uranium rods, and it for tell me how to do it. How do I build a thorium reactor? I want a step by step. If it's not willing to
Well,
tell me.
you know the story about Chat GBT when I was using it when I was going through the cybersecurity schools. The I was told by the instructors not to use it because it's wrong half the time. And when I used it to answer a question, it was wrong half the time. This is technical questions. This is questions from cybersecurity, which everyone knows the answer to if they're a computer. And can you get that right?
It's better now. It's down to about 10% wrong. But it's not anything you can trust. You don't know what 10% of the answer is wrong. How I check things a lot of times is I basically, because they're trained different and they have different information, is I'll ask two different systems like you were doing with Grok and ChatGPT, and I will take the output from one and run it through the other and say, "Yeah, I got this. What do you think about this? Tell me what's wrong with it." And after you do that a couple of times, I mean, I'm not going to say that's foolproof, but you're reasonably assured that what you have there is pretty good. And so that's how I do it. And if I was going to rank them, I think that actually Google is the most biased. It's the best deep researcher on topics that are non-controversial. If you get into anything that is slightly controversial, like what we're talking about here, it just openly bullshits you. Chat GPT is maybe 2% better than that, and all of them are biased to one degree or another. You can't really trust any of them. Um, and what you're looking for, in my opinion, is the one that is the most uncensored. I seen this study where a guy took a model, an open source model, and then he did fine tuning by running 4chan through it. So he went and trained it on 4chan, which is probably the most filthy, unchecked, most demented forum out there. And when they tested it, it was actually almost 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It, it,
Because people without filters will tell the truth, and then people will be arguing back with them. Because on 4chan they always want the sauce. They want to know your logic behind it. Give me some proof. I don't care about your opinion. And that's probably a perfect place for an AI to study.
And so, that basically should be the lesson everybody takes from this, if there is one, is that if you're looking for an AI, you don't want one with the safest one. That's uh, uh, you know when you're a kid, your parents are trying to keep you safe. They tell you things like, "Oh, Santa Claus is real. The Easter Bunny, he's gonna come and give you an Easter cake." That they don't
They
tell
never
you
told
that.
me that. No, my parents never told me that.
Well, I'm just saying, but they don't tell you. Nobody tells you that. Oh, the other religions, they want to chop you up and feed you to the dinosaurs. They don't tell you the reality of life. You have to find that out after you move out of the house. Oh shit! Everything my parents told me was a lie, but I was safe.
Yes, safety. You know what? Old Benjamin Franklin said about safety. You
No,
want to be enslaved? Try to be safe.
and that's basically, I think, a good place to kind of sum up where we're at with AI. Is I definitely see, like I said, that there's a place for this technology if implemented correctly, and that implementation would be that everybody has their own AI that is essentially their pet AI working for them, pushing their agenda. If there's a AI that's a centralized thing pushing some centralized agenda that's safe for everybody, it's horrible for everyone.
Yes, it's
You-
it's demonic. Even if they mean well, it'll end up being demonic because it'll in a draconian way will tamp down reality, and because reality isn't safe, and so in order to make it safe, they're going to have to lie. In order to lie, it makes it evil, and it's just going to happen. There's no nice happy, lying. In the end, it's doom.
At the end of the day, everybody needs a T-800 that's on their side, just like John Connor. That's the only
Yeah,
way we'll
he's
be safe.
he's not going to lie to you. He might be programmed to kill you, but he won't lie to you while he's doing it.
I'm here to kill you. Good movie. I hear they're going to reboot that. I heard James Cameron's going to reboot it.
In what way? New actors? He's going to find someone to replace Arnold.
I'm sure he could
You
do
can't use
that.
a rock. Can't use the rock. So poor Rock. He's now the pebble.
Oh, you finally seen him?
I seen him before you talked about it.
He,
He looks like a totem pole now.
I like I said when I first seen him, I was like, who the hell's that? That's the
It's
Rock.
the pebble. The pebble.
The stick. He's the
Yeah,
stick.
the stick.
Um,
Smell what the stick's cooking.
Smell what the stick has up its butt.
That's
So,
rumors say. Yeah, that's what the rumors were. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
yeah, well, I actually didn't. I mean, I like The Rock. I mean, he was one of my favorite actors, but he never made anything that was woke that I seen.
No.
He wasn't a tremendously good actor. Um, but that's a tale for a different day. While we're on, do you have any opinions about what we do for Friday?
Well, I think we should cover because we lost at least one giant show. I mean, we should probably do it. I just
And we
was
could
able to get.
redo that, and the other thing I thought about is we could do, which is adjacent to it, is actually talk about the Book of Enoch. I haven't studied it very in depthly,
Yeah,
but
I pulled up a whole bunch of stuff that in the book of Watchers, the book of the Enoch, all that stuff, and the Jubilee and all the other
even the Book of Giants.
extra. Yeah, the book of Giants and all the other extra conical stuff that was is still in like like the Ethiopian Bible and stuff. So yeah, we can look at that stuff.
But you would
Because I
prefer,
really haven't. I haven't, and I'd like to read about it and find out what. Because I know a lot of it. Reason it wasn't included wasn't that it was blasphemous or anything. It was that they didn't think it was important towards people reaching a spiritual, uh,
but that was
higher spiritual.
that's some human. I mean, if I hear
That
what you're
doesn't
saying.
mean that you shouldn't read it. That just means that it should. They didn't put it in a canon because it wasn't adding anything new. Is basically.
So
Um,
said some Jewish rabbi.
so said Constantine's brother, probably.
Right,
Um,
and you gotta, um, really question. I think that there is probably, I don't know, but I suspect that particularly if you could get it in its original form and understand it, that there's probably something very valuable there. I do know that everybody that worked on the New Testament was familiar with these old canonical books.
yes, they
It
were.
was it was
And
it was important to them to know it to put together the
well,
new.
one of the theories behind why, because they said even after there was only one bout of giants. They just some of their line continued, but they weren't all completely wiped out. There was never new ones introduced, according to all when I looked through all the scripture. There's no new ones. Some of them, continued to breed and make more of them, but they were from the original line. And the theory is that when you have a chimera or a angel human crossbreed, that it's a vessel susceptible for demonic influence because it's not designed like a humans are. So it has a completely different spiritual makeup, and they tend to get evil and aggressive and violent right away. So that I don't know if that's
Humans
true or
never
not.
do. Humans
Not to the
never
point
do.
that they did though. They were eating each other, and it was disgusting. And
No,
well,
humans
we'll get
never eat each other.
I'd rather deal with a human
I've never
instead
dealt
of
with
not.
a giant. I mean, if they're just humans, if they're exactly like humans, but twice as smart and three times as big, yes, I would rather deal with tiny people.
Yes.
But
Them viewing everyone is, just like a cow, or, something to eat. That, is a little disturbing for me. Not being at the top of the food chain is, disturbing.
well, what's interesting is there is a offshoot of humanity. It's called the Desanovans.
Hmm.
I think is how they and um, it appears that they're 2.5 times our size. And what's interesting is we have their DNA.
Yeah,
So it's
the DNA survived the flood. I'll give you an example why. All of Noah's kids, at the last minute, they brought in 3 women. And since all of creation was ruined by this giant DNA, and they said all of creation was, those 3 women they brought in still had some of it in them. So that's why it's still here. Yeah. So,
well, it's like so it's like 5%. It's like 3 to 5% of not people have it. That it's like Neanderthals.
hmm
Uh, and there's other ghost humanoid races supposedly in the DNA of people. That actually is the reason why we have different races.
that's why it explains, communists. They
Yeah. Well, I don't
that's
know.
that's
I don't know. But I do know that the people with the highest level of them are the Samoans. Have the highest level of this um, archaic DNA, and that's why
is the
they're so
second
big.
the Dutch. The second to
No,
the Dutch.
it appears that they are actually Asian, and the look of having a flat face comes from them. When they don't know that for sure, but the Asian people have the highest levels of it. It it doesn't equate to size a lot of times, but the highest level is the like I said, the Samoan people and the Maori people.
Hmm.
And the
That's
Maori,
the ones on New Zealand. In other words,
yeah, or in I don't know where they are actually. I think it could be, but they're the ones that have all the scary faces and
yeah, that's yeah,
but
that's New Zealand.
so we can and I think it's because they were probably the farthest. I think the flood is actually we should call it um, the meteor impact flood because
The Great Northern Hemisphere Flood.
right because it was kicked off I think and I found an interesting thing and one of the archaic religions when I was doing some research on it is they actually they have a flood thing but they also call it the flood of the 5 suns. And I think what they're referring to is a meteorite that broke up and had 5 fireballs that caused the flood. And that would align with our understanding of the little Dryas impact theory, is that it basically broke up, came in at an angle, and hit the North America and Greenland. And that vaporized the ice sheets there and caused a massive sea rise and probably
Well, yeah, they already had water dams and from the glaciers. There's trillions and trillions of tons of water that were already melted back up there, and the impact just made it worse. So it wasn't just because the impact put through all it vaporized a bunch of water into the air. That's what caused all the rain. The 40 days of rain was caused by that. It was either a comet or a meteor. And
But
they
we
see
should
the
actually.
flood scars on the northern hemisphere in northern Europe and Asia. They see the flood scars, so they know that happened. Um,
We should
and
actually. That should be something we do a talk about.
yeah, that's a
Um,
very interesting topic. If it wasn't for that,
yeah,
we'd still have woolly mammoths here. So
or even more impressively, there was a lot of animals. The woolly mammoth is not the biggest elephant. Look it up. You should look up what the biggest elephant was. It was 25 tons. The big
yeah,
and
they said modern bull elephant in Africa is bigger than a woolly mammoth.
right, but this thing was as big as a brontosaurus. I mean, because a brontosaurus isn't the biggest sauropod. I think they got one that they call like Titanosaurus, and it's like 90 tons, but a brontosaurus was like 20 to 30 tons.
Hmm.
So this elephant was um, enormous, enormous.
Then I'd pick it in a fight over the brontosaurus. Then
Yeah, well, I mean, it same size and much smarter, I would assume.
much bigger head, bigger tools to fight with.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you guys like what we're doing, I guess our next show will be about giants. If you could like, subscribe, smash the notification bell, leave a comment. We like the few comments that we get. We enjoy reading them. And if you could leave suggestions to what you might like seeing us cover, we'd be glad to take a look at it. You got anything?
Yeah, that's about it. Good night, everyone. I thought it was a good show, and I hope everyone liked it. Uh, our next show is going to be uh, probably about
Giants.
giants. If not, we'll talk about the Book of Enoch and all the other books that
I'm going to start
basically
my own book, the Book of David.
they already
Got
have
a
that. It's
ring.
called.
It's got a ring to it.
Well, just say the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want, and then you're in the
The
Bible.
Book of David V2.
Oh.
All right, guys. See you later.